Hey guys, how are you? Ted here, and finally, part 4 of the skill training series. And what we're going to go over today is the practical side, or the putting it together right over here. Let's put all of these points, previous points, and we're going to dump it into this part right here, and we're going to go over a athlete that I had trained to do 2 competitions. One of them being the first one being a strength competition, powerlifting in New Jersey, and his next competition was a strongman. And what I'm going to show you here is we started somewhere in the neighborhood of August, September-ish, and his deadlifts during those times, as you see here, notated here, by the time January hit, it was 500 pounds. And I recall him, at that lift, this was in training, and he was like, this is kind of easy for me. I still have a lot left. And my comment to him was, that's great, because your competition is in 2 weeks, so I need you to deload and take it easy. And lo and behold, he came in and he won his first powerlifting competition out in New Jersey. Deadlift at 525, squat at 445, bench at 350, total weight moved was 1320. That's enough to finish at the top of his class at novice at a body weight of 220 pounds. Pretty awesome when you really think about it, because he's never done competitions like this before. The next competition was in May, and it was in Ohio. It was a strongman competition. 40 people came out on the field, and novice class, these essentially are the weights that he had to move. It was a farmer's walk at 400 pounds, keg and carry, fat bar axles, Atlas stone, not onto a platform but over a bar, and a tire flip medley. Both of those weights for the tire were used at 550 and 650. Our program constraints was definitely specialized equipment. One, we didn't have the torpedoes, the kegs. We did have a fat bar. No tire on the axle, unfortunately, and we don't have Atlas stones. In fact, they're kind of difficult to use in the New York City area. Our basement neighbors tend to complain with a loud thumping noise. And tires, we didn't have tires at this particular location, as well as the distance in order to flip them. As well as E.avi happens to be still currently one of the top producers over at Club H Fitness. And just finding time for him to train. In essence, this was his mesocycle at first. We did 85% of his 1RM squats, deadlift week 2, day 2, and deadlift. Notice how I undulate the loads from week 1 to week 2, as well as undulate the movement. This way there is a semi kind of deloading phase from one lift to another, as well as there is kind of a break from skill set to skill set from week to week. Overall, what ends up happening is that I end up balancing everything out within a 4-week process, 4 to 6 week process, which is why you see that here. Notice that I do 85, 90, and 85%, 90, 95, 95, 90, and 95%, and then a 75% deload on the 4th week. Why do I do this? Because not only do I undulate the loads to stimulate E.avi into growth and as well as strength, but as well as it breaks it up rather nicely for him, and it's not always the same habitual thing over and over and over again, as well as it creates a summated effect in terms of lifting and central nervous system stimulation. This is a sample in regards to mesocycle 2. Now, I cannot recall whether or not the excerpts from what you're seeing here is from the first aspect of his training prior to the powerlifting competition or the deadlift competition. I mean the strongman competition, excuse me. All right, so if we take a look here, it was squats at 90, deadlift at 80, squats at 90. Again, a nice fully concentrated triple extension in terms of squat. as well as deadlift. So an average of somewhere in the neighborhood of 85% up here in terms of total 1RM and triple extension. And then over here is almost the same in regards to over here. This over here is a mistake. This should be a 90% lift over here. So it's 90, 90 in week 2 for the deadlift and 80 for the squat. Mesocycle 3. Now, one of the things that I like doing is pushing the 1RMs. You know, pure strength. You know, I love to push the 1RMs. And then what I like to do is once there's a certain level of proficiency, again, utilizing learning phases and a difficulty scale from the performer, or for this case from E.avi, he would tell me how difficult each and every set was, as well as how difficult the overall movement was for X amount of sets, as well as X amount of repetitions. And if you hit a certain range, what I would end up doing is altering the volumes, the loading and or the volumes. And once you hit a certain proficiency in terms of moving load, now what I wanted him to do is increase the skill capacity or increase the volumes that he was lifting. So what we would do is essentially do 2-minute blocking, or what is known in the industry as well as the community as metabolic training. I would have him move a certain load for a 2-minute block. Sometimes within those 2 minutes, I would have we would do an EDT format, which is escalating density training. So each and every set for 2 minutes, he would have to beat out the previous set, sometimes by 2, sometimes by 5. If I really wanted to be a pain in the ass, sometimes by 10 reps per set. You know, and needless to say, it's cruel and unusual, but you know that's what he hired me for. So, you know, this way, this pushes the 1RMs through volume training, but more importantly, it gets him really used to holding load. You know, for the farmer's walk, you have to carry 400 pounds, a little over 400 pounds, one in each hand. So not only did he have to get comfortable moving that particular load, he had to also be able to be comfortable with that particular grip along that bar, and he had to hold it. Sometimes he would sprint with a certain amount of load, sometimes he wouldn't. Sometimes he would do straight sprints, sometimes he would do straight walks, other times we would work on turns. Oh, here you go. Some of the things that we utilized for the strongman competition, we did Zercher squats, log push presses, fat bar deadlifts, keg hoist and carries, and farmer deads. You know, so just getting him used and accustomed to certain things. The Zercher squat was great because, you know, that's a certain positioning in terms of your arm and triple extension, because you had to pick up the load that way. Or just the keg and carry. You know, your arms are in that hoisted position and not quite up onto the shoulder yet, but you know, it would help him get used to and be able to manage heavy loading, utilizing different joint actions, both or what we call limb manipulation, in terms of the eyeball shaped loading that he would have to do throughout all these competitions. His active rest, his deloading phases. You know, if we were coming off a high intensity block, we would deload with higher volumes and vice versa. I would also introduce any new skills. You know, one of the things that we would teach him to do is cleans, and you know, one of the big things in terms of a cleans versus a heavy deadlift is like some techniques in deadlifts require you to have a rounded back, or even the Atlas stone, where you're rounding the back because the load is just really heavy, and you have to get your arms around it. Well, you know, just getting him used to, you know, keeping his chest up and out and flat back was always a challenge. So, you know, we would warm up with cleans or some sort of light movement that eventually would become loaded somewhere down the road in terms of the whole macro cycle. This not only got him used to and accustomed to in terms of the skills at hand, but you know, it prepped him for what was going to happen in the near future, some sort of obnoxious loading on his coach's behalf. Just wanted to say thank you so much to the guys over at Eclipse Gym over in Manila. Coach Mark Limbaga does a terrific job with his crew over there. So just wanted to give them a quick shout out in regards to the questions that they're asking, as well as keeping me on my toes and helping them out. Just FYI, Yaniv walked on the field with 40 contestants in his novice class and his weight class, and he basically walked out top 5. So, you know, this was his first strength competition, strongman competition. You know, if you just address and assess the type of skills that a sport has, you would be very, very surprised on the training creativity that comes out of a coach, especially strongmans. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be publishing more videos as well as more workshops, and hope to hear from you soon. Remember, keep asking, keep learning, keep teaching. Take care.
Nice.